What?
I'm like hearing your ambient noise coming through your microphone all around the room. It's crazy. If it's too loud, we can change it out. No, it's awesome. Those are good. I don't think I've ever heard it, but it sounds good.
That's so cool. Will you?
Can you hear me now? Woohoo! Welcome everybody. Welcome. Nice to see you all. If you have kiddos out here, they're welcome to stay with you out here during the service. Or if you would like them in the kids class, you're welcome to sign them in. We have babies through 5th grade available to be in the kids class over here if you'd like. So today we are going to spend a little time together talking. We have a guest speaking today from amongst our own ranks. And she has brought special things for us, which you see on your tables in front of you. So we'll get to play with markers today, for all of you who always look forward to doing that at church. And in a minute, we're going to sing a song that we haven't sung in a while, but it's kind of a fun one. So if you don't know, you can learn it with us. But before we do that, I just want to make sure that you are near people that you actually know. And you know their names. That's always good. And I would like to invite anyone who would like to filter to the empty spaces. There's this demilitarized zone between you and me. And so if you'd like to come and be a little closer, that might be nice. It's the empty space, you know what I'm talking about. All right. So why don't you all just stand up with me, and why don't you say hi to somebody nearby you, somebody you haven't said hi to yet, and then if you'd like to settle a little closer, go ahead and do that, and we'll get started.
You did it.
this song together, and it says, as we clap our hands, and I would invite you, if you'd like, to clap your hands with us. All right, so here's how the song goes. As we clap our hands, we invite you. As we clap our hands, we invite you in. As we clap our hands, we invite you in. As we clap our hands, we invite you in. My heart is willing, Lord, to open every door. I'm here confessing, Lord, you are worthy and deserving of all our worship. Come dwell in our praises. Your Spirit is welcome in this place. Come dwell in our praises. You are worthy and deserving of all our worship. So that's the song. Except now we're going to sing As I Lift My Voice. I invite you in. As I lift my voice, I invite you in. As I lift my voice, I invite you in. As I lift my voice, I invite you in. As I lift my voice, I invite you in. My heart is willing. My heart is willing, Lord, to open every door. I'm here confessing, Lord, you are worthy and deserving of all our worship. Come dwell in our praises. Your Spirit is welcome in this place. Come dwell in our praises. You are worthy and deserving of all our singing. Come dwell. Come dwell in our praises. Your Spirit is welcome in this place. Come dwell in our praises. You are worthy and deserving of all our worship. Thanks for singing. Let's take a minute and pray together and make that song our prayer for tonight, shall we? God, thanks so much that we can invite you at any point, any moment, any time. But today's this is a special time. We set aside this time once a week to come together, to worship and celebrate all that you have done for us, as well as to learn and to grow. We also come together to be in this safe place and to practice what it means in your sanctuary, in your house, God, to really love one another, to open up from our hearts and share of what you've given us to one another. And somehow, amazingly, in the middle of us loving one another, you come and you meet us there. And you minister to us, you serve us, you love us, you heal us, you touch us, you speak to us. There are so many things that we get to look forward to just from this time. So open up our hearts and open up our faith. Help us to be expectant today and to trust that, when we open up and we seek you, that we're going to find you and that you are a rewarder of those who seek you. So thank you for all the blessings you bestowed on us, and we look forward to walking into more and more. Especially these blessings, these people sitting around us. Thank you for them. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Go ahead and take a second if you need to settle or get something to drink. And Jesse Prue is going to be coming right up here to give us some things to think about today. All right?
Hello. So, Joel asked if I wanted to talk in this upcoming season, and I was like, of course.
No, not really. I love getting to share just in general. I sort of grew up hating being the center of attention, but I will sacrifice. No, I'm just kidding. I actually am a teacher, so I had to get over that fear a long time ago because I'm in front of middle school students every day. But I actually, fortunately enough, got to talk about a topic that I'm really excited about, so that's nice. So we've been working in this Wanderer series talking about the Israelites when they were out wandering in the desert and sort of having to test their faith over and over and over, because for years and years they were just sort of wandering and trusting that God had these wonderful promises that would be fulfilled, but they were long waiting for that. So in using this sort of story, we're kind of drawing parallels on how did their story relate to what our life's journey looks like today. So last week, Joel talked a lot about God's directions. So we talked about what's called enduring directions. These are like long-term things. So I really like the example of like when we were little, the green means go and red means stop. I feel like that was like, it's a really good one. I wouldn't have even thought of that because you're so used to it every day. But those are directions that are really worthwhile to know, just like keep yourself safe and to like function in society. But then there's also what he called impromptu directions, which are things that are kind of day-to-day with our connection with God, like little pieces that he'll drop into our life of pieces of information or pieces of emotion or things that we kind of work with on a day-to-day basis. So my question and what we're going to be talking about today is, how do we take these directions that we add to our life's journey, and then what is actually needed to endure the journey? Okay, I've been given this direction, I have this new idea or this new piece of information, but now I have to actually walk it out, and not just like just on a day-by-day, but over an entire life's worth of journey. So the big question today is, what is needed to endure? What resources, what assistance, what things do we need to outlast the challenges of our life's journey? So every once in a while I do this thing with my students. So I thought, just for fun, because I was here today up front, that I was going to bring it into what we're doing today. So if you have noticed, there are whiteboards at your table. So if you have a whiteboard, go ahead and, or at your table, go ahead and take one. If you're sitting somewhere where there's not one, you want to grab one. I believe there's going to be plenty of extras. And then there should be whiteboard markers at your table. And if you check and they don't work, my teaching assistant has some extras. And then the little paper towels are just to use as your little eraser. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of what Joel was talking about last week and then continuing to kind of add on to it. So the first whiteboard questions I'm going to be asking you, it's just a simple like a word or two words or something really, really short. This is like a visual check. So like you'll hold it up so I'll see the answers. Yeah, fun. So just a word or two words. Don't like write a big story to me or anything. But the first thing we're going to talk about is, okay, so I approach you. I'm not whoever I am in your head, I'm God, I'm a friend, I'm whatever. And I tell you that you're going to go on a journey. That in your life you're going to go on some type of adventure. But I'm not going to tell you anything about it at all. So all I tell you is that it's a journey or an adventure of some kind. And then you have to think, what is like the one most important thing I would bring with me? So that's what I want you to write down on your whiteboard. What would you bring? What is like the necessary, like if I could only choose one thing, this would be it. It can be whatever you want. And then once you have an answer, hold it up so I can see it. Nice. Okay. Nice. Good. We have some very, very practical people. We have some more like abstract thinkers. It's good. Okay. Good. All right, so I'll start calling them out if you think of something long. Or hold it up so I can see them. It's because I'm not going to talk about them. Okay, so we look around, I see Sam Gamby, credit card, a family member. I also see a friend. I've got an arrow pointing to a spouse. I've got a friend. And then I've got things like knowledge, hope, a good attitude, trust. We've got a big money sign. We've got specifically $1,000. We've got prayer, a compass, that's very practical. Snacks, food, a friend, prayer, a blanket, an ID. Good. Okay, awesome. Oh, sorry, water. There's water in the back. And a warm jacket. Excellent. Good. That's fun. Okay, we've got those of us that think very practically, like a compass or money or credit card. And then those of us that maybe thought a little bit more on like the emotional spectrum. There's like a friend or hope, good attitude. Okay. Now I'm going to shift the question just slightly. Okay. If I were to come approach you again, and this time I told you that it's not just like a you're going to go on a trip type of adventure, but I told you that for your entire life's journey, if there was like one thing you could name for your life's journey that you had to have to be healthy, to be happy, whatever, fill in the blank for yourself, your life's journey, what would that one thing be? And it's tough, so you can take a second. For your life's journey, what do you believe would be your one thing that you would require if you could only choose one? It does not have to be a tangible thing. No. It can be whatever you want. It can be as nice. Good. Nice. Cool. Okay, I'll wait about 5 more seconds. Awesome. Okay, so I see a lot of things like I see a few different hopes. So people that would bring hope with them. I see a relationship with God, a loyal friend, someone says discovery, running shoes, a companion, a love for self, so self-love, food, a Bible and friend, hope, joy. I see another joy. It's a what? A Winnebago. Nice, Winnebago. We've got a Beanie Boo. Is that what that is? Nice. Good. And patience. Cool. Okay, good. Okay, so this is sort of spurring our thought of what we're going to talk about. And what's fun is that a lot of us actually touched on one of the main things which we're going to be talking about today. So I'm not going to use whiteboards for a little bit, so you can set them aside if you want to. Or if you like to take notes on them, or if it helps you concentrate to doodle, I'll allow my students to do that too. Okay, so when I think about like our life's journey, if I had to like narrow it down of what I believe are the 3 necessary resources for a healthy journey, and I'm kind of going beyond the practical things like we all need food and water. Okay, for our bodies to live, we need some things. I need oxygen to breathe. I'm kind of thinking beyond those like tangible, practical things, and more of like if I'm going to have a healthy life, what do I need to have a healthy life on my journey? So those 3 things are a connection to God. So I saw around the room, some people said like the Holy Spirit. Someone said God, a relationship with God. So I believe that's true too, a connection to God. And then the second thing is you need at least one true friend, which a lot of people are like a companion or a loyal friend or whatever. And then the last thing is just continued information or education to help guide your way. So if I had to narrow it down to 3, that's what I believe are like the 3 things beyond like our practical like food and such. Okay. So what I'm talking about today with our whole illustration of the Israelites and kind of going through the desert is talking about what Moses illustrated to the Israelites and what I'm calling a true friend. So we get to talk about what's the one thing that you would need of these 3, and today I'm going to talk about a true friend. So God gives the Israelites direction. Go into the desert. I saved you from slavery, and now you're going to go into the desert, and he has all these promises of what will be fulfilled. And then they're wandering through the desert with these directions from God. And then at some point it's like, wow, are you sure? Are you sure this is what you told us to do? I'm really hungry. And the desert's like not a really great place to live. And I know that like there's this cloud that I can see that like reassures me that your presence is still here, but man, I don't really feel like wandering around in the desert anymore. And so it's cool what Moses is able to do in sort of acting as a real friend is that he's able to go and connect to God on the Israelites' behalf. So he's able to go to God and receive the message of this reassurance, this reaffirmation of, yes, this is what I'm saying, and I'm loyal and I'm faithful, and I'm here with you always, and the promises will be fulfilled. And then Moses gets to go back and basically give this message in a way that reaffirms to Israelites that, yes, you are on course. This is what God said. Let me help redirect you back into a place of being faithful and all of those things. And then they get to go back on course. So when I think about this part of the story in this way that Moses kind of illustrates being a true friend, there's the first thing that I notice, which is God's faithfulness and loyalty. Did I say that right? Yeah, faithfulness and loyalty. So not only is Moses going on their behalf, but there's also, something that we can kind of take for granted, maybe for some of us, but other of us, maybe it's good to hear again, that God says you are valuable, that I will protect you, that I will take care of you, that whenever you need access to me, I'm available to you, and you are worth it. So no matter what, he is totally faithful and loyal and steady in that. And then beyond that, which is what we're going to be talking about today, Moses' role is that he gets to go to God, and not just for himself, but he's going to God on somebody else's behalf. So he's able to go connect to God in a way that says, I'm going to put the needs of all these people above myself, and I need to bring them something, and I need to bring them hope, and bring them peace, and bring them whatever it is. And so he connects them above his own needs for the sake of the Israelites. And then the other part of that story is that the Israelites actually have to receive that from Moses. So they sort of partner in this, true friendship where they trust Moses. They trust Moses' connection to God. And so when he comes back and he says, I have heard from God, I have reaffirmed this is right, this is good. God is loyal, God loves you, he wants to take care of you, and then they're able to go back on course. Well, the Israelites have to actually trust God, or Moses' connection to God. And through them trusting his connection to God, they get to partner in trusting what he says is the message from God as well. So the two main things we're going to talk about today then, in terms of being a true friend and this ability to endure life's journey, that in order to kind of have a healthy day-to-day life throughout life, right? Not just one day, but through our entire journey is this idea of having a true friend. So there's Moses' role, which is being a friend, and then there's the Israelites' role, which is receiving that friendship. So in terms of Moses' role, when I talk about, we need at least one true friend. So what makes a true friend? And there's so many things. If I narrowed it down to just a few for the sake of what we talked about today, but there's so many things. But it's an intentional friendship with someone. So when I think of a true friend, and being a friend to somebody is if I take someone like Mike. So Mike has come to me and he says, I want to invite you into my life's process. And maybe it's something specific, like maybe God's given him a new direction that says that he needs to be healthier by being more active. So maybe that's a new direction that Mike has received. But that reality of walking that out every day can be really challenging. Maybe Mike had to work 12 hours a day, and he really doesn't feel like being active, but he knows that the original direction was that even when it's challenging, it is healthy and it is good. So then Mike comes to me and he invites me in that process to say, I have received this new information from God, and I'd like you to partner with me in that. So there's the invitation. And then for my role as being a friend, I get to be in a place of having a genuine love and acceptance for Mike above whatever he does or doesn't do. So he comes to me and says, I need to be healthy by being more active. I've received that invitation, and then my role is now I get to love him and accept him for what he is, not what he does. And then next, I get to take it even one step further, and I get to have an intentional connection to God on his behalf. So I get to look outside of myself, and I will be intentionally praying over Mike. Maybe there are songs that I feel like touch me in a way that are specific for Mike. But whatever your connection to God may look like, which may look different for all of us, but I'm intentionally using my relationship and connection with God on Mike's behalf. So maybe on that day where he comes to me, he's like, man, I'm so tired, and I really don't feel like working out. Then maybe I say, you know what? I love and support you regardless of what you do, but maybe let's talk about it a little bit. Maybe I can ask him some questions of like, well, why don't you feel like doing it today? Or, have you heard from God today? Have you talked to him? Did he give you any words today? Or maybe it's just saying, yeah, maybe today is too hard, and maybe you can't do it, and that's still okay, and I'm going to love you and be your friend regardless. So one thing I would say being a true friend is not, because I thought about this a little bit, was not holding expectations of performance from that person. So like I was saying of, if he comes to me and he's like, I'm so tired, I really don't want to be active today, I just don't have it within me, then it would be really easy, and I think a lot of what we see out in the world is that like, well, if you don't do it, then that's saying something about you. So maybe he's like decides not to do his workout that day, and then I hold some type of judgment for him, like, wow, you're being really lazy, Mike, or whatever. But instead, I think it's not about having expectations of what they do or don't do. That's not the point. Being a true friend is loving them for who they are, not what they do. And then I think another part that is a really easy thing to fall into is wanting to partner with someone on their process. And when they're saying, I really need help with being active for the sake of this example we're talking about, I think we too often have people come to us and want to be a friend and want to share how they're feeling or what they're thinking about or whatever. And we're very quick to give advice. And I'm not saying advice is a bad thing, but I think oftentimes what a true friend is just someone who's purely there to listen. I think one of the best skills a true friend can do is just being a listening board. He comes to me and says, I'm having a really hard time. I'm like, yeah, it sounds like you're having a really hard time, and I'm here for you to listen. If he then goes to actually ask for that advice, and then I think, then he's giving you the invitation for that advice. But otherwise, I don't think that's necessarily the role that we have to play. I think sometimes just being someone who loves that person and will be willing to listen to where they're at is exactly what they need. So I have a friend who lives far away, and so we only get to chat over things like texting or FaceTime or other methods or whatever. But it's been really cool that even with so much distance and her being so far away, that she's invited me to be a friend, an intentional friend on certain things with her in her life. And if you know me, I don't feel like there are many times in my life where I've had like what I would consider like a profound, like I heard God. That's like a very, I've had like a couple really specific times, but it looks different to everybody in what you would consider like hearing from God. And for me, the thing that happens the most is I just receive some type of emotion. So she texted me, and it was really early in the morning, and she said, I'm having like the worst day of all time, and I feel like I've lost all hope, and I'm so tired, and I'm so this, and I'm so that. And I tried to FaceTime her, and she was at work, and the connection lost, and so we couldn't really talk. And I'm driving on my way to work, and I'm on the highway, and I was trying to just pray over her and say, like, God, what would she need right now? What emotion or what word or what would she need right now? And all of a sudden, the song came on the radio, and I don't know what it was, but without even being aware of the song in terms of the lyrics or anything, there was something in my chest where I just felt like I was just dropped with an emotion. And I actually had to pull my car over because I started crying so hard. But I mean, not that takes a lot because I cry pretty easy. But I pulled my car over because I was crying so hard because I couldn't see the road because I had my tears in my eyes. And I was just like listening to the song, and it was like maybe the third or fourth time in my life where I just felt so sure, like this is from God. And so I texted her right away, and I said, I just feel like God put this song on my heart for you. And it's just imagine all the people in your life just singing this song over you today. And I emailed it to her. And I actually didn't hear from her until the following day. But she said she actually had to run to the restroom because it's like the only place where she could be somewhere private. And she said she was just sitting in the stall, and she was just listening to the song over and over. And she goes, you cannot imagine how deeply I needed that on that day. And my role in being a friend for her in that moment was just simply using my ability to connect with God and just saying, I'm going to go to God on your behalf, and just trying to be in a space where I was available to receive from God something for her that she wasn't in a place to receive for herself. Because a lot of times when we're so emotional or having a really hard time, sometimes it's really hard to hear clearly or to think clearly or to feel clearly. And so I think one of the biggest roles that a true friend can play is sort of receiving that message on your behalf in a sense of clarity where we can't always do it for ourselves. So that would be being a friend, and that's Moses' role in the story. And then the other side of the coin would be the Israelites' role, which is receiving a friend. Which I think can sometimes, depending on how you were brought up or whatever, can sometimes be just as hard as being a friend can be sometimes. So when I think of someone receiving a friend, I think of someone that you see and trust their connection to God. So like we were talking about with Moses. The reason that the Israelites could trust Moses is because they could see his connection to God and they trusted that. Now Moses was a human, so just like any of us, we're totally imperfect. So as a friend, I'm going to hurt you, and I won't mean to. And it'll probably happen. It's kind of inevitable. So as a friend, we can't expect each other to be perfect, but you can see and trust the connection of your friend that they have with God. So if I am friends with Amanda, and I see that she has a connection to God that I love and I trust, then I can trust that connection from her, or trust her connection to God in her. So I can also trust that she's a human, and she may hear incorrectly, or she may make mistakes, but that we get to live in a space where I can forgive her for that and still know that she's a loyal friend who will connect to God as best she can. And then I think inviting somebody to partner with you, this is sometimes what I've heard from people as being the hardest part. It takes a lot of vulnerability to say, hey, I heard this new thing from God, and I would really love for you to partner with me on this. Because you kind of have to be in a place where you're vulnerable to say, like, I might fail. I might not be able to do this new thing or to walk out this new direction that God has given to me. And I think that can put us in a really vulnerable place. But I think it can be so freeing when you're able to ask a friend to partner with you, and you get to go on that process not being alone. Because I think that's one of the biggest needs we have. So inviting someone to partner with you. And then, so that's the initial invitation, but then also allowing them to continue to partner with you. So not just, Mike not just saying one day, like, hey, I need to be more active, can you help me on that process? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. And then we just never talk about it ever again. There's no continual process in that. But I think part of receiving friendship is that if he's asked that of me, then he also gets to have, to walk that out with me in a way where he's now giving me permission to, when I spend time with him, I can ask him about it. Hey, how is that going? Have you experienced some successes, or he's like maybe experienced some failures, and how are you feeling about it, or are you still feeling really sure about it, or I get to continually just kind of touch base with him and let him know that I'm still thinking about him and going to God on his behalf. And then the last part would be to actually reach out when you need to. So one of the cool things about receiving a friend is that you've invited them and they've agreed to be your friend in this process. So then my job now as receiving that friendship is actually to, when I'm in need or need support, that I get to reach out and ask for it. So whether that's something really simple like sending a text message, or maybe it's something more like going to get coffee, but you're actually putting out there, hey, I need help to that friend who has agreed to do that with you. So it was so funny this morning when I was thinking about this, and I was taking a shower, because that's where I think often, is in shower, as Mike would know, because I take like 45-minute showers. I was sitting in the shower and just like thinking about what I wanted to talk about and all this stuff. And I was trying to think of a story of like where I received this type of friendship. And the most unexpected story came to mind. So I think I was a freshman in college. So it was the summer after I was a freshman in college. And I played soccer at Oregon. So in terms of like physical athleticism at the time, I was like in what would probably be considered like my peak condition. So physically, I was like really in shape. But also physically, I am not a long distance runner, like at all. So we agreed, a bunch of my friends, we were going to do the BTB, which is like a 6-mile race. And I was like, oh, I'm in such good shape. No problem. I'll go with my friends. It'll be so much fun. I think literally before the BTB, I had never run more than 3 miles consecutively. And I was like, oh, twice that. That's no big deal. It'll be fine. I'll just go slow, take it, whatever. So I'm with like 6 of my girlfriends. And everyone's in the same boat. Like, yeah, we just want to do it together. It's going to be fun. Doesn't matter how fast we go. We'll just all be in a group, and we'll get to finish together. We'll do the big like photo finish. And I was like, yeah, that sounds so fun. And then as soon as the horn went off, they like took off. And I was like, what's up? I'm like trudging in the back. And if you know the BTB, like the first, it's like half mile or mile, is like uphill. I was like, who thought this race is the worst? So I take off, and I'm like just going so slow, like trudging, and I'm like really like internally like, you can do this, like it's okay. I'm going so slow. I had this one friend who like came up and was like, hey, how's it going? She's like running backwards around me. I was like, just go away. But one of my best friends at the time, who was Shannon Overman, her dad Steve Overman, with some people might know him here, he also was running the race, and I didn't even really think twice about it, because I was just going to do it with my girlfriends, and he was just going to run it with us. And I'm like trudging up the hill, and like, when will this ever be over? And he comes running, and he's like, oh, hey, I didn't think I'd see you here. Made a joke and kind of laughed. And he ran the entire race with me. And like I'm a little bit dramatic sometimes. And there were honestly times in the race where I closed my eyes because I was like, this is the worst. And so I'd be running like going like this. And he would every once in a while just grab my arm and kind of like, you know, like push me this way or like pull me this way. You're gonna run into that. Or I'd like be running and just like so focused ahead. I'd be like, oh, there's water right there. Maybe we should get some. And so we'd steer over and like grab some water. And it's the funniest example. The whole thing was so funny. He told me later, he's like, I actually needed you just as much as you needed me. And I was like, yeah, right. He was like chatting the whole time. But he was so sweet. He was just like there for me. He was going at my pace. If I ever needed to slow down, like he didn't judge me at all. He was just like, oh yeah, let's take a break. And we'd like slow down a little bit. And we finished the race. He and I had the photo finish of the like, yeah! And the two of us, it's a really funny picture. But anyways, when I was thinking of this idea of receiving a friend, like I was like a little bit, I'm like running up this horrible hill, all my friends have left me, I'm so tired already, and I'm like not even a mile into this stupid race. And I was pretty embarrassed, to be honest, of like, I thought I was so in shape, and then here I am like struggling, and we're not even a third of the way through the race. And I felt like there was just a moment where I got to just receive Steve's love in a way where it was like he genuinely just wanted to like be there with me and do it with me. And we kind of walked out this whole, you know, it's like a mini version of like life's journey, you know, where there's harder parts and there's easier parts. And it was someone to like kind of steer me along the way, like redirecting me to like, you know, you wanted to do this, and here's the course, and let me just help guide you a little bit. Or like, hey, here's this resource that's available to you. Like, maybe I can help you see it, and you didn't know it was there before, which I'm talking about the water, because I was like dying of thirst. And it was just this really cool image for me of like what that whole process looks like. Of, you know, it's literally this race, but it was this journey, and he was just so faithful and like sticking right with me and partnering with me all the way. So it was such a fun story that came to mind. I was like, I haven't thought about that in forever. And I have never run more than 3 miles since then. So, okay. I want you to take your whiteboards again. Okay. And my first question is when you think about this idea, so I'm trying to kind of paint the picture of what it means to be a true friend, and it's an intentional friend who's sort of like partnering with you on your life's process. So when you think of that act of being a friend, what do you think is the most challenging part of that? Of being a friend. What's the most challenging part of being a friend? Yeah, big enough so I can see it. And like maybe 1, 2, 3 words if possible. I know that some of you might have a sentence. And I bet I can guess who. I knew it. I just looking at each other. Like, they'll have sentences. Nice. Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay. Does that say time? Okay. No, what is it? Nice. Okay. Cool. Okay, so what I see around the room, I'm going to read them now, so hold them up so I can see them. So I think like not judging people, not having expectations for people, not being able to solve their problems, or not knowing what to say when they feel defeated. Being brave enough to share your connection with someone, so maybe you've heard something from God, and then maybe sharing that, being brave to share enough. Putting your own problems aside, not judging people, time, putting aside time for them, not wanting to solve all their problems for them. Sorry, I can't read the ones in the back. They're too far. Sticking with them no matter what. Good one. Receiving and giving when they back away. Nice. When you're too tired. Strength when a friend is sad. Excellent. Being helped. Nice. Listen with no reaction, negative or otherwise. Good. And confrontation. Nice. Good ones, you guys. Okay, so on the flip side now, if you were to think about what do you believe is the most challenging part of receiving this type of friendship? What do you think is the most challenging part of receiving this type of friendship? Okay, so I see vulnerability, letting my guard down, being vulnerable, vulnerability, listening or feeling embarrassed or ashamed, embarrassment, asking for help, fear of rejection, being a burden to somebody, feeling indebted, pride, asking or then accepting that help, trusting, letting them help, admitting when you're wrong, always remember to return it promptly. Nice. Good. Okay, cool. And then the last thing I want to end on in terms of our questions is now, instead of thinking about what is challenging, because we agree that there's challenges, and that's part of what's so cool about trying to invite someone in to be a true friend, is that we get to walk through these challenges together. But on the flip side, it's also really nice to think about what is most rewarding about either being or receiving this type of friendship. If you had to name like an emotion or a thing or whatever it is to you, like what's the most rewarding part of this type of process? Nice. A big LOVE. Nice. So you can keep holding them up as I'm reading them, but I see like three different ones that just have big love written on it. So getting love, being helpful, I get to be me, gaining trust, it feels freeing, you get to experience victory with people, so with your friends, comfort, sharing the load, accomplishment, connection, seeing someone get changed forever, hugs and smiles, that you're never alone, common interest, somebody gets me, laughter, getting closer and gaining more trust, safety, grace in success and in failures. Awesome. Good job, you guys. Okay. Yeah. So we're not going to take a lot of time to do this, but now we've kind of gotten to give some of these like shorter answers and thinking about this whole process. Just to kind of clarify, because I don't know how clear it felt, but the big message of today is this idea of being a true friend, that on our life's journey, like what's one thing that we need to endure all the challenges, and it's that you have someone who's there on your behalf, that they have your best interest in mind, that they're able to connect to God for you, and then you get to act as both being that friend and then the act of receiving that friendship. So the two table talk discussions, which we won't take a lot of time on, is discussing an example where you were being a friend, and then discussing an example where you were receiving that type of friendship. And then maybe just talking about what was challenging or rewarding in both or either of those circumstances. And they're up there so you can see them. So go ahead and just talk with your table. If you're only with like one other person, maybe you can go join another group, and we'll take a few minutes to talk about that.